And now we enter into today's program. This is our summer finale in music. And the subtitle is Sunshine, Healing, and Transformation. We have a number of musicians with us today. It's going to be a very exciting program. I'm going to introduce you to Jay McDaniel, who is going to MC our program today. And then at the end of the program, with its 3 sections and lots of music, we're going to gather together for conversations that matter with 4 of our musicians and with all of you. Jay McDaniel is a man of many talents, and many of you know him well. Today, he is with us as a musician, entertainer, and philosopher. Jay is well known as a philosopher and theologian. He also is well known as a specialist in Buddhism and Christianity, ecology, interfaith dialogue, spirituality, and music and the arts. He taught in most of these areas at Hendrix College for 39 years, where he is now emeritus professor in religion. He's also taught courses, seminars, workshops all over the world, and he is still very much in demand. He participates in lectures in various conferences across the US and in other parts of the world. Many of you know Jay through his online journal, Open Horizons, which is a pretty fascinating journal. It is one in which he introduces you to ideas, to people, to clips of interest, and he enters in with his own conversations. It's quite a wonderful journal. Today, we're focusing on Jay as a music lover, whose guitar and voice are often heard in Arkansas, where he lives. And Jay is a great volunteer person. So in his home in Arkansas, he sings in a senior community, he sings in a memory loss community, he teaches a Sunday school class. He is very active in building the interfaith organizations and projects. He is a man of many talents, and he is going to share some of them with us today. And we're in your hands, Jay.
Well, thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth. And if I had my way, we would spend this entire session thanking Mary Elizabeth for bringing forth Tuesday after Tuesday, fascinating conversations, tremendously gracious introductions, adding her own wisdom where we will make space for her to so do. And she has really helped build what is a premier activity on the part of the Center for Process Studies. Used to be Cobb Institute, now Cobb Institute is part of the Center for Process Studies, but Process Explorations is now part of CPS, and we all really owe her a tremendous amount of appreciation, and I'm glad we'll be starting anew, but thank you so much, Mary Elizabeth. Last time I was asked to MC something, it was for a conference in an international Whitehead conference, and David Griffin called me up and he said, Jay, would you give a 5-minute speech at the end of the event after the dinner? And I said, well, maybe. And he said, I said, what does it need to be like? And he said, well, make it substantial. I thought, okay, maybe. And then he said, oh, yes, and make it funny. And, and so I went to my wife, Kathy, and I said, Kathy, they've asked me to give a talk, a 5-minute talk at the end of this event, and they want me to make it substantial and funny. And Kathy and the rest of my family said, decline. And that's kind of the way I feel now. I'm not sure I'm up to this test, but I know that we've got some great musicians available to us. We're going to be hearing some great music. We've got kind of 3 segments of music. I'm going to do some things, and then the Troubadours and Neil Comus Daniels are going to do protest music, and then we're going to get to hear Sheri Kling, whom I've heard so many times, and if there's a heaven and angels sing, I want one of them to be Sheri. And then we're going to have a good talk on music thereafter. And in order to get ready for that, I want to give you just a page that I'm working on in my uh, website, Open Horizons. So, Richard, could you bring that up? So, on that page, that's one of I'm a member of two bands, and that's one of the bands. And we play at retirement communities throughout my area. We understand what we do as a verb, not a noun. We call it musicking. And I didn't invent that word. It was invented by a New Zealand ethnomusicologist who said musicking is an activity. And so I'm going to say that's what we do, and that's probably what a lot of you do. And I want to give you some topics within the theme of musicking just to be thinking about. This is a process take. When you're in a group of people singing together, or some are listening and some are performing, the music itself becomes a web of felt relationships. You become related to one another through the music. And that has a kind of co-creative relational energy. It's not just in the performers, it's in the listeners, it's in everybody present. Stay there just a second, Richard. I want to emphasize the fact that it is an energy. So when you think of listening to music you love, there's something felt almost in a bodily way. And when you sing along with others in a choir or whatever, there's something felt in a bodily way. So musicking is co-creative relational energy. Okay, Richard. It's also a nexus, and you may remember Whitehead's notion of a nexus. A nexus is a collection of actualities that share something. So music involves a community of people who co-become through the very act of musicking. You can keep scrolling. Let's simply remember there are multiple genres of musicking, and you're going to hear a couple today. Um, but they include classical, folk, hip hop, country, rock, avant-garde, um, what I'll call eco musicking. There's so many genres. You can keep going. I want to just note the moral ambiguity of musicking. Musicking is not always conducive to the fullness of life. You can march to war by musicking. Um, and so I don't want to pretend that all musicking is healthy or good. So I tried to come up with a phrase for positive musicking, and for the moment I'm with resonant communion um, as my working phrase for positive musicking. And in that light, you can think of different kinds of positive musicking. One is small group musicking that gives comfort and energy. And I'll show you some examples of that in a second on my end. Um, Keep scrolling, Richard. But another kind of musicking is socially progressive musicking or protest music. And we'll certainly hear some of that in a moment. And I really look forward to that. Keep going, Richard. And then there's theological musicking, and I mean musicking that is explicitly intended to bring us into an encounter with the sacred. And you're going to hear that from Sheri, and she will sing what you might call process theology musicking. Um, Let us note that in religious contexts, it's not simply the words, it's the sounds. And we can experience the divine through the sounds, no less than the words. We do that all the time with jazz, with classical music. Keep going. Just a note about God and musicking. If God is a lure within our lives and within the universe, then surely that lure, among other things, is a lure to music and to become with others in the context of music. And you may remember the consequent nature of God. It is that side of God which receives and is affected by all that happens in the universe and all that happens in the earth and all that happens in our lives. You can't help but think that some of what God receives is indeed that music, and it becomes part of the ongoing life of God, and then is recycled back into the earth, as Whitehead says at the end of Process and Reality, recycled in a spirit of love. And keep going. Today, there are interfaith groups doing interfaith musicking where people from multiple diverse traditions get together and have music fests. We have them in my own local community, Little Rock, Arkansas. And then I want to note that musicking need not be human alone. Other animals, rivers, trees, even stars have their music. They have their sound. So one emerging reality in the world of musicking is what I'll call eco-musicking. With that, Richard, I think that's it. That's all I want to say in this vein. So keep some of those ideas in your mind as we proceed, and I'll show you 3 examples of small group musicking that I myself do. I go into memory care residences where people have Alzheimer's and other forms of, I don't like the word dementia, so I say rementia, other forms of rementia, and we do sing-along music. And I'll show you I'll show you a video of that. And sometimes my aim is it's an act of communion, and my aim is to get us to feel something together. Typically, I do You Are My Sunshine, Swing Low, Sweet Chariot, This Land Is Your Land. I do old Elvis songs, Can't Help Falling in Love. I do a fast Elvis medley and Make a Fool of Myself, All Shook Up, Hound Dog, and Don't Be Cruel. Lasts for about 40 minutes, and really by the end, we're all having a pretty good time. And occasionally I will meet somebody that has a tremendous voice. And so one time at one place, I met the following person, and her name, she's passed now, and her family gave me permission to show this to you. And we don't show you the people sitting in the audience, but you'll get to meet Roxy. Here's Roxy with Alzheimer's singing with me. Fish are jumping, those fish are jumping, and the cod is high, and the cod is high. Your daddy's rich, your daddy's rich, and your ma is good looking, and mama's good looking. So hush, little baby, don't you cry. One of these mornings, yeah, one of these mornings, you're gonna rise up and sing. I'm gonna rise up singing. I think we should all applaud for Roxy, who is in heaven right now. And who knows, maybe she hears them. But we were a team. And whenever I would go there, I couldn't wait to sing with Roxy. And she stole the show. She had the voice. And when I first heard her, your daddy's rich and your ma is good looking. When I first heard that, da-da-da-da, and you da-da-da-da, and she went on that high note, I thought, my gosh, that's almost as beautiful as Sheri Kling. Now, sometimes, and really oftentimes, the staff will join me. And the staff love to dance with those that can dance. But recently I got the staff to sing along. It was kind of just spontaneous. We were doing My Girl by The Temptations. Are you somewhat familiar with that song? I've got sunshine on a cloudy day, and when it's cold outside, I've got the month of May. So I'll show you that one. Here goes. So, you need to picture people that you can't see. The one person that came up, though, we have permission to show him. He was one of the residents, but the rest were staff. And you can tell there was a kind of energy. I mean, there's energy everywhere where there's music, but it was a joyous energy. It was fun and it was funny. And that lifts the spirits and gives people joy. Now, I used to go sing for my mother also. My mother, who died at 101, I think was about 99 when the following video was taken, and it was taken by someone where she lived. Uh, my mother loved all kinds of music. She couldn't sing at all, but she loved to listen, and she loved to move. She loved to dance. And so this is me singing with one of her residents, Twist and Shout by the Beatles.
Tell me when the music
Well,
starts.
check it up, baby.
Check it out, baby.
Twist and
Shout, twist and shout.
come on, baby.
Now, come on, baby.
Come on and work it on out.
Work it on out.
You know you twist so fine. Twist so fine. You know you twist so good. Twist so good. Come on and twist a little closer. Twist a little closer and let me know that you're mine. You're mine. Well, shake it, baby now. Shake it up, baby. Shake it, baby now. Shake it up, baby. Well, shake it, baby now. Shake it up, baby. All right. Oh, yeah. So that's my mom. I'm glad to introduce you to her. And just so you don't think that's all I do, but Mom, if you're in heaven, you're still dancing with us. Um, I think the movement and the rhythm is tremendously important. And when I'm working with people in those contexts, if they just tap their feet or they just move their hands, that's fine. Not everybody can get up and dance, but there's a joy there, there's a beauty there, there's a vitality there, there's divine energy there. I also sing with another group where we sing in a country restaurant 8 miles outside from where I live, where I would say that 85% of our clientele is probably not where you are politically. And so I'm in a very red state, and I can promise you that 85% of the people that I play for on Thursday nights from 6 to 8, they did not vote for who you voted for. And a huge question is, can we cross boundaries at least for a moment and just share our humanity? Can we simply be human together? We can talk politics sometime. Now, kindergarten teachers tell you that 3 things bring people together: food, music, and storytelling. And I think that's the case even in America today. So this last one is of a band. It's my band, and this is us singing in a country restaurant. You just see a little of it. All right, Richard.
There goes my baby with someone new. She sure looks happy, I sure am too. She was my baby till he stick with the back and forth. Never mind a friend. Bye-bye love, bye-bye happiness. Hello loneliness, and I'm gonna cry. Bye-bye love, bye-bye regrets. Hello emptiness, and I'm not gonna cry. Bye-bye love, bye-bye. I'm through with the romance, I'm through with the love.
I myself grew up in church, and I learned harmonies in church choir, and they thrilled me from the very beginning. And then when I heard the Everly Brothers and I heard the Beatles, I heard those same harmonies. And there's just something tingling about them. And it does remind me of the way we want life to be. We hope for beloved community. We hope for people living gently with one another and kindly with the earth. We hope for a kind of harmony. Harmony was one of Whitehead's favorite words. I think you hear it in that music. We're going to turn now to a different kind of music. That's small group musicking. And I want to turn to protest musicking. And as a way of preparing for that, I'd like for us to watch a video of Pete Seeger. And this was shown at the 2015 conference, and you will see that he knew Whitehead. Here goes.
I have a kind of funny little song which I sing to children. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 8 is 16, and the hour is getting late. We've all been a doubling, all been a doubling in 32 years. See, the world population is doubling every 32 years. Twice 16 is 32. Next comes 64. Next comes 128. Do we need to hear more? It's kind of funny when 20 kids are all say, we've all been a doubling, all been a doubling in 32 years. Next comes 256, next 512. My name is Pete Seeger, and I'd like to welcome you to this conference. I wish I could attend it, but at age 94, I cannot be sure where I'll be when. When I was at Harvard briefly in 1938, my older brother was taking a course in philosophy from Professor Alfred North Whitehead. And he said, Pete, you should come listen to this guy. He's really extraordinary. Whitehead says, the present holds within itself the complete sum of existence. It's a wonderful definition. The present holds within itself the complete sum of existence. Forwards and backwards, that great amplitude of time, which is eternity. If I come out a few minutes before the hour, that's when the train to New York comes down, and it aims right here, right at us. We built the cabin in 1949 in 3 or 4 pieces. I'm a big fan of the folk art of masonry. The wall over there is my best wall. It took me the whole summer. 500 feet up there, we gave some land to some neighbors, and we have one of the world's best neighbors now. We now have thousands of young maples in the woods, and we boil the maple syrup down there.
I understand Eugene, who's the friend we're doing this on behalf of, had said he would love it if you felt comfortable with singing Where Have All the Flowers Gone? Is that something you feel comfortable doing for us?
I'll get my banjo. So after Whitehead died, out came a little book called Conversations with Whitehead. And at one point, it describes Whitehead clenching his brows and clenching his fists, trying to think of the right word, and finally says, the process is the actuality. To understand anything, understand it as a process in motion. Where have all the flowers gone? Long time passing. Where have all those flowers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the flowers gone? Girls have picked them, every one. When will they ever learn? Oh, when will they ever learn? I don't know where I stole the tune from. Oh, I remember now where I swiped the melody. An Irish lumberjack song. Johnson says he'll load more hay. Says he'll load 10 times a day. And I just slowed it down. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time passing. Where have all the soldiers gone? Long time ago. Where have all the soldiers gone? Gone to graveyards, everyone. When will they ever learn? When will they ever learn? And where have all the graveyards gone? Covered with flowers, every one. Did you get the banjo?
I did indeed.
Well, there you go. And just a Whitehead remark. When he said he didn't remember where he stole the melody from, that's kind of the nature of music. We borrow things and bring them into something new as best we can. And that's the many becoming one and being increased by one. But we always begin with the many. And most of that we did not create. So there's a little Whitehead moment, and I'm going to turn it over to Mary Elizabeth now to introduce our next segment.
Thank you, Jay. That was beautiful. Now we're going to do some musicking together. I'm going to invite you to sing along. And my suggestion is that you just mute your screen and sing along, since it's hard to get all the voices on the Zoom call. We're going to focus now on protest music that sings out the hard realities of the world and inspires justice. We have two segments of this, and one is led by the Troubadours, and I'll introduce them now. The Troubadours is a musicking group at Pilgrim Place, and the video you're going to see is them singing 3 different songs. These are songs from the Broadsides era in the United States that focus on protest music from the 1960s and 70s. So we're revisiting that period. This band itself includes teachers, scholars, pastors, business leaders, and musicians, all retired but not retired in their ways of living. Their names are Dwight Vogel, Cheryl Brown, Dennis McDonald, Dan Gara, Ward McAfee, and Mary Cooper. Their songs for today that we will be singing along with are This Land Is Your Land, Blowing in the Wind, which you have just heard Pete Seeger playing parts of. This was composed by Bob Dylan and Pete Seeger. Following that is This Land Is Your Land, which was composed by Woody Guthrie. And finally, If I Had a Hammer, composed by Pete Seeger and Lee Hayes. We're going to watch these straight through, so we won't be stopping after each one. But I want you to know in advance about the second song. The break after Blowing in the Wind moves quickly to This Land Is Your Land, which underwent many revisions over decades of time. The first version by Woody Guthrie was revised many times by Woody Guthrie and by others. The version we'll hear today and sing is close to the original, and it has words in it that you will not have heard before, or not likely have heard before. You will begin to detect why Guthrie wrote this song and why it's included as a protest song. Guthrie was responding to some of the tragedies in America, some of the tragedies of conflict, poverty, oppression. And this was an era when America the Beautiful was very popular, and other songs and sentiments that didn't recognize the struggles that many people face. So you will today be introduced to and singing some of the original words. And then finally, we will move into If I Had a Hammer, which was composed, as I said, by Pete Seeger and Lee Hayes. I invite you to join in every way you possibly can and just enjoy the music and feel the protests.
Take it away, Cheryl.
How many roads must a man walk down before they call him a man? How many seas must a white dove sail before she sleeps in the sand? Yes, and how many
I learned another insight from my folk singing friend. His name was Sam Hinton, and he was out at dinner with me one night. Some of you have heard of Sam Hinton and remember him. Sam was about 30 years older than I was, but he was a close friend of Woody's. One day in 1940, Sam was visiting Woody, and they were playing songs together when Woody said, "Sam, I just wrote a new song, and I want to hear what you think." When Woody finished singing, Sam told me, he told Woody, "Well, Woody, it's good, but it's not one of your best." Sam then laughed and told me, "I guess I'm not a great musical critic." So sing along with us on this Alfred Kramer version. Watch the screen. Some of the words are different from what you may remember in your memory bank, but sing along with "This Land Is Your Land." This land is your land, this land is my land, from the redwood forest to the New York Island, the Canadian mountain to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. As I went walking that ribbon of highway, I saw above me that endless skyway. I saw below me that golden valley. This land was made for you and me. I roamed and rambled, and I followed my footsteps to the sun-bright sands of her mineral desert, when all around me a voice was sounding. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from the redwood forest to the New York Island, the Canadian mountain to the Gulf Stream water. This land was made for you and me. But a big high wall there that tried to stop me, a sign was painted that said private property, but on the back side it didn't say nothing. That sign was made for you and me. In the squares of the city, in the shadow of a steeple, by the leaf office, I'd seen my people as they stood there hungry. I stood there asking, was this land made for you and me? This land is your land, this land is my land, from the redwood forest to the New York Island, the Canadian mountain to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me. When the sun came shining and I was strolling, and the wheat fields waiting and the dust clouds rolling, the voice was chanting as the voice was lifting, God bless America for me. Nobody living can ever stop me as I go walking that freedom highway. Nobody living can make me turn back. This land was made for you and me. This land is your land, this land is my land, from the redwood forest to the New York Island, the Canadian mountains to the Gulf Stream waters. This land was made for you and me.
Thank you, Alfred, and thank you, Woody.
Okay, ready to go? 1, 2, 3, 4. If I had a hammer, I'd hammer in the morning, evening, over this land. I'd hammer out danger, I'd hammer out warning, I'd hammer out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Ooh, if I had a bell, I'd ring it in the morning, I'd ring it in the evening, over this land. I'd ring out danger, I'd ring out warning, I'd ring out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Ooh, if I had a song, I'd sing it in the morning, I'd sing it in the evening, over this land. I'd sing out danger, I'd sing out warning, I'd sing out love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. Well, I got a hammer and I got a bell. I got a song to sing over this land. It's a hammer of justice. It's a bell of freedom. It's a song of love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. It's a hammer of justice. It's a bell of freedom. It's a song about love between my brothers and my sisters, all over this land. I think you knew that song. Maybe you didn't know all this, though. If I Had a Hammer was written in 1949, that's my birth year, by Pete Seeger and Lee Hayes, but it became a hit protest song in the 60s when it was sung by Peter, Paul, and Mary.
I saw a lot of you singing. That was terrific. One thing I want to say about this music is that it was created to be sung. So it was not just associated with the composers and the singers. The Broadsides era was a time when paper copies of this music was spread all over the US and Canada, and people were singing it in bars and in all kinds of venues. Music groups like Jay's music group were out singing in the upstairs of a movie theater and so forth. So this was music that was intended to be sung, and it was part of a movement. Now we're going to hear one more set of music from the protest era. This is the more recent protest era, and we are going to we're going to hear a song that was composed by Rabbi Niels Komes Daniels, and Rabbi Neil just one second. Rabbi Neil is the Rabbi Emeritus of Beth Shear Shalom in Santa Monica and West Los Angeles, California. He continues his rabbinic ministry in retirement as a ritual leader and a spiritual counselor, in addition to making music. Now, the song that he sings today we're going to play from the YouTube because it has wonderful imagery. But first, we're going to hear him introduce it himself.
Hello, my friends. My name is Neil Comas Daniels. I am the Emeritus Rabbi of Beth Shir Shalom in Santa Monica, as you probably have already heard. I want to give a special thank you to Mary Elizabeth Moore for enabling me to be part of this virtually. The song I'm contributing today is called Children of War. It was inspired by one of the pictures that you're about to see on the video version of the song. The picture I'm referring to is one with two children holding hands. One is a boy, the older one's a boy, the younger one's a girl. I assume that they are brother and sister, looking down the road from them at a tank with soldiers surrounding it. I found out later that those were two Palestinian children looking at an Israeli tank and Israeli soldiers. And it brings to mind the moral vacuum that my people seem to be living in Israel right now. The morality of the Jewish people seems not to be part of the equation in evaluating Jewish actions at this time. Obviously, Israel had a right to and a need to respond after October 7th of 2023, but the protraction of this war and the personality of this war is absolute destruction of another people, and Jews don't do this. And one would hope that no people in the world do this to others. And of course, the focus of the song is about children, the innocent victims in this situation. So with music, which is completely evocative, I felt that I could get the message across stronger than I could with just the written word or the spoken word. That has always been true for me. I know it's been true for many of us who accompany our thoughts and our philosophies and our perspectives with music. And I am grateful that music is part of the matrix in which we live. So I can't say enjoy this piece, but I certainly can say I hope this piece inspires and enables you to take a good look at your values and the values of your spiritual path, and make sure that they protect the children. Thank you very much.
You'll be our symbol, don't you know? Should you survive, should you survive? Or our martyr by the road, if you die, if you die. But you have a face and a soul and a name. That we steal these from you is our burden and our shame. Children of war, we will hold you. Children of war, we will enfold you. We battle fire with more flame, and you burn, and you burn. And then we do it all again. We never learn, we never learn. We cage the tranquil dove with no thought for release, while in mosque, church, and temple we sing songs of peace. Children of war, we will hold you. Children of war, we will enfold you. your bodies and your time. Abuse your innocence and your minds. You are the banner that we raise, a lame excuse along our way. We use your beauty as our shield to hide the cruelties we would wield. And this mountain of fear is so high, it's so high. And these waters of hate are so wide, yes, so wide. But we'll paint you a rainbow over steel-stained skies, make swords into plowshares and truth out of lies. Children of war, we will hold you. Children of war, we will enfold you. Children of war, we will hold you. Children of war, we will enfold you.
Rabbi Neil. And thank you, Richard. Richard has put together these videos with a lot of contribution from Lou Fry, and we're grateful to both of you for all the work you've done on the technology for this today. Back to you, Jay.
Thank you. And Mary Elizabeth, thank you for making possible that entire segment of our time today. And I think that we're all quite moved. So thank you. As I've said before, sometimes I get to hear a voice that I think is just gorgeous. And I don't want to put pressure on Sheri Kling. I think I've already put too much pressure on her now in saying all this. But it's true. Sheri is a quite gifted theologian. She's a Whiteheadian, but a perennialist as well. And she can articulate a process relational vision in text, but also in sound and music. She's deeply influenced by Carl Jung and his archetypal psychology. She's a gifted teacher, and she's director of Process and Faith for the Center for Process Studies. She does many things, but today what she's going to do is sing some songs. Many people often ask, how could I introduce process theology to people that are unfamiliar with it in easy to understand terms? And sometimes I say, I think you should listen to songs by Sheri Kling. She introduces it in just the right way. Sheri, thank you so much for being with us. We look forward to hearing from you, with you.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. So glad to be here. And what a moving event this has been so far. I want to also point, part of what influenced me in writing some of this music was the memory of a time of my own where I was visiting someone who was under hospice care in a small home for people with Alzheimer's, and the TV was on, and everyone in the room was very small, maybe 6, 8 people in the living room who were all not conscious to what was happening in the present moment at all. And there was a movie playing on the TV, and part of the movie was some old standard church song, and all of a sudden one woman just started singing with the TV out of nowhere. And then when the song ended, she went back into her inner world, and that just really made an impact on me, just about the power of music to touch us at such a deep level, regardless of what's happening with us in the present moment. And so anyway, it was when I was in my doctoral program at Claremont that I started writing process hymns. I've been writing songs for a long time. I've been a singer-songwriter my whole life and playing guitar since I was 9, and grew up learning and listening to all those protest songs by Pete Seeger and Woody Guthrie and Peter, Paul and Mary and folks like that. And so I've been writing a long time, but it was when I was in at Claremont that I began to write process-friendly or process-oriented hymns and other songs. But I'm gonna save the first one I wrote for the end. But this first song is my newest, and I recently had the opportunity to speak as a keynote speaker to the Hayden Institute Summer Dream and Spirituality Conference. The Hayden Institute offers certificate programs in spiritual direction and dream work, and then they have this annual conference that I'm involved with most years. And Ilya Delia was another speaker there this year, and the theme was Cosmos and Soul, and my keynote address was called God Soaked, like SOAKED, God Soaked, Divine in Cosmos and Soul. And so, like I tend to do, I wrote a song specifically for my keynote address, and this is a song called God Soaked World. We live in a God-soaked world where the mystery of love is the fire at the heart of the universe and the web of all life. We live in a God-soaked world. Beauty and wonder are sometimes uncovered in places of stark disarray. Seeking the wisdom that gives us new eyes, we yearn for that wholeness today. We live in a God-soaked world where everyone we see is joined with the spirit of heaven above and the soul of the earth. We live in a God-soaked world. Deeply embodied, our souls reach for spirit, drawing new life from above. Holding the tension of water and flame, we rise with a heart filled with love. We live in a God-soaked world where everything we do, we offer to God's own experience, our truest call. We live in a God-soaked world, a world that laughs, a world that cries, held in a sacred field of love, a world that hurts, a world that heals, held in a sacred fire of love. We live in a God-soaked world where the mystery of love is the fire at the heart of the universe and the web of all life. We live in a God-soaked world. We live in a God-soaked world. We live in a God-soaked world. Thank you. So that's the first one. I'm going to do 3 songs. The second is another one that I wrote as part of a keynote address for the Hayden Institute. So this was 2 years ago, and my talk was on the whole-making nearness of God. So the song you just heard is about God in the world, God in the human psyche, God in each and everything in all of us. And this song stresses that that presence is also working toward our wholeness. So this is called the whole-making nearness of God. In cosmos and psyche, the sacred is near. We're interconnected, so what shall we fear? In each forming moment, God's new will appear, the whole making nearness of God. We cannot carry the glory or shame. We cannot heal all the pain in our name. Living in Christ trades compassion for blame, the whole making nearness of God. Even within all the suffering we know, God's possibilities yearning to grow. Grace, creativity comes in the flow, the whole making nearness of God. Let it flow, let it flow, that the world may know. Seeking the best for each being that lives, never excluding, this cosmos forgives. Wholeness and healing, the love that God gives, the whole making nearness of God. Let it flow, let it flow, that the world may know. Seeking the best for each being that lives, never excluding, this cosmos forgives. Wholeness and healing, the love that God gives, the whole making nearness of God. The whole making nearness of God. The whole making nearness of God. And that song is mostly drawing from Whitehead and Young, but also a little bit of Richard Rohr, so that was part of that as well. Now this last song I'll play is the first one that I wrote of a process nature, and it was written while I was in a class at Claremont on eco-process theology, where we were looking at eco-feminist theology, Teilhard de Chardin, process thinkers, you know, all that kind of thing. And Roland Faber's typical practice was that the midterm, rather than having an exam, he would invite us to do a creative project. And so basically I wrote this song called We All Are Related as kind of a summary of what had been learned so far in the semester. Actually, my classmates were the ones that said, like, you've like basically summarized the whole semester so far. And it begins with the scientific story of creation, which I think might have been inspired by something that's in a Sally McFague book. And then it goes into the what I imagine as the congregational singing part to the main part of the song. And this song also, I had submitted it just a few weeks ago to the people that organize the Season of Creation resources every year. And it was chosen to be part of the resource packet for the Feast of St. Francis this year in 2025. So if any of you are people who get those materials from Season of Creation, you will find the music to this song in there. So I like to think that other churches all around might be singing it. This is We All Are Related. Fiery brilliance, cooling gas, condensing gravity, atoms forming stars and carbon-fueled diversity, Earth with sky and oceans, molecules that multiply, stardust is the mater of the cosmos and all life. We all are related, woven as threads in earth creation, depending on all in deep harmony. Internally formed by each other, creative and free, we all are related, wholly and actively. The world is becoming, the future of God is luring us there. Grace within chaos, the power of the new, holiness bear. The singer is singing the song we are yearning to share. The world is becoming processes everywhere. And God is embodied, the word becomes flesh in all that we see. Incarnate in every bird, in every tree. In the heartbeat of billions of bodies just wanting to be, God is embodied, soul of the world, breathing in me. And all things have value, all the way up and all the way down. God is redeeming the lowliest stone and the glorious crown. Christ is the pattern in every atom around. All things have value, whispering spirit sound. We need liberation from seeing our world as dead matter machines. All creatures as neighbors, a healing embrace, so held we are free. In training our rhythms to the heartbeat of life, consciously we all are related in a world that's becoming, where God is embodied and all things have value. We are liberated, affirming the world we see. Thank you very much.
All right, Sheri, thank you so much. And I think now it's time for us to have a conversation. And I want on the screen, Sheri, if you'd stay on the screen, is there anybody from the Troubadours with us that can be on the screen? I think
Yes.
Dennis, is that right?
Dennis McDonald and Dan Gara are both with us.
Great. Can the four of us be on the screen? Is that possible, Richard? So just a little bit between the three, our group. Was there anything you heard in the other group, in one another, that just sparked a thought for you? Any reflections on what you heard from Sheri or from me, Dennis and Dan, or the other way around? I'll start with Dennis and Dan. I love that music, and I grew up on that music also. And every single sing-along that we do at Senior Citizen Centers ends with "If I Had a Hammer." And it was my mother-in-law's very favorite song. And she passed now, but she was in one of those centers, and we always dedicate it to her. But just thanks for that great music. So that's my comment.
Well, if I might start, actually, my comment is a spin-off of something you said, Jay, namely that we recycle music.
Yeah.
And we do so often for purposes of social identity.
Yes.
And as we craft our common music, as a way of resisting and to reshaping the materials that we receive. And I want to talk about Bob Dylan for just a moment. When he had his statement about getting the Pulitzer Prize for literature, he evoked Homer.
Mhm.
And he said that Homer got it right because he began his poetry by evoking the muse,
Mhm.
where we get our word music
Mhm.
and museum. And I'm a musician, but actually I'm more of a classicist. And I just want to put a word in for Homer.
Mm.
We know that from the very beginning of music, they used lyres as a way of keeping the dactylic hexameters going. And we have art, we have little statues of these singers. They had two words for singer. One was as a singer, and the other is where we get our word poetry. And poetry means in Greek, one who creates. So there's something creative about what happens with Homer, and also with music as a sense of transcendence. All of us who are musicians know what it's like to feel the transcendence. You said this earlier on, Jay, about singing in a choir and feeling
Mhm.
physically moved.
Mhm.
And I think this is often overlooked as this sense of transcendence. And it goes all the way back to Homer. And Bob Dylan says that's where he gets his inspiration. He doesn't know
Mhm.
where it comes from. It comes
Mhm.
from his own muse. Um, and when Jews and Christians in antiquity tried to carve out their identity over against Greekness, they did so in a process called mimesis, that is imitation. And so the one thing you didn't mention in your catalog of function of music is cultural creation.
Mhm.
And that music for the Greeks was the way they understood who they were, how they understood
Mhm.
marriage, how they understood warfare, how they understood honor, how they understood death and loss, and so on. And so I just wanted to put a word in. By the way, the Greeks also were very, philosophers were interested in the harmony of the spheres.
Mhm.
And we have that in Plato and Pythagoras to some extent. So this business goes a long way. One of the great losses we have in Western culture is we had no way of understand of how to record what their music was. We know that it was important to them and we know what the words were, but we don't know anything about their melodies. We know something about their rhythms and so on. So it wasn't until in the Middle Ages that we had tablatures that were able to capture that music. So I just wanted to put music in something of a historical context. And I think all of us who are musicians feel a sense of transcendence in what we do. And that we also often, as we create music, are creating it over a repertoire that we're trying to shift. And I found what the rabbi had to say about those children was just such a narrative. It was really quite moving. And thank you for your own responsibility for this, Jay, and for Mary Elizabeth.
I would
Well,
like to add on Blowing in the Wind because for me, I love the history of from the writer of why they wrote it, what does it mean sometimes, and Blowing in the Wind either is what is it? It's either ambiguous
mhm.
or it's so obvious, like it's like the wind that's in your
Yeah.
face, or is it intangible as the
Mhm.
wind blows? So I thought you might be interested in what Dylan said about it. I'll do my best to do my Bob Dylan. Okay.
There ain't too much I can say about this song except that the answer is blowing in the wind. It ain't in no book or movie or TV show or discussion group, man. It's in the wind, and it's blowing in the wind. Too many of these hip people are telling me where the answer is, but oh, I won't believe that. I still say it's in the wind, and just like a restless piece of paper, it's got to come down some. But the only trouble is no one picks up the answer when it comes down, so not too many people get to see and know, and then it flies away. I still say that some of the biggest criminals are those that turn their heads away when they see wrong and know it's wrong. I'm only 21 years old, and I know that there's been too many wars. You people over 21, you're older and smarter. I'm not sure that helps a lot about understanding it, but that's
Oh,
Bob
Dan,
Dylan.
I'm guessing that we may have 10 or 15 people in our group that can do their Bob Dylan voice imitations, but you set the standard. That's wonderful. And you know that the Dylan is so Dylan. Um, he actually loves ambiguity and is not going to land here or there. He's going to always keep you rolling somewhere. So thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Just a word, Dennis, about Homer. I'm interested in the troubadour tradition, and I want to turn to Sheri. So, but just to take note, I wonder if the troubadour tradition, of which Dylan is a part, um, has its roots in the West, at least, in the Homeric tradition of the storytelling, from which I assume the author of Homer or whoever the Homers were gathered them together. If troubadourism began in that Greek setting, do you know?
Um, yes, it did. And in fact, these singers were hired by wealthy families to give entertainment at night after people had dined, and they would invite their guests in. And the singers were very highly regarded, and there was a guild of them. And so here's the big difference, though. All of these singers were soloists. They didn't have other people accompanying them, not even on the instruments. And no one was singing along. What you have in the European troubadour tradition are groups of people who are singing, and to some extent singing along, because the baritones, the bar songs were known, and so on.
Okay.
So one of the things we haven't talked about is the difference of soloing or being in an ensemble or singing in a group. I found it interesting that Mary Elizabeth was interested in having us all sing along with a song that already has a group. So there are all kinds of spins on this business about performance and participation and group sing and cultural identity. And I thought your introduction was very helpful in kind of mapping out musical theory from a philosophical perspective. It was very helpful.
Thank you. Yeah. We want to open this up to everybody in just a moment. So Sheri, I'm going to give you a chance to say anything you want to say, and then let's open it up to the whole. And then I would love to have a part 2 of this where we get to jump into the intricacies of it all. That would be wonderful. Sheri, anything from you?
Yeah, just a couple of comments. I wanted to pick up on what Dennis was just saying about group singing and the research that's shown that people, when they're singing together in groups, that the electromagnetic field of their hearts come into coherence. And there are so many positive effects of that. So there is such a positive influence of group singing upon us. And I also wanted to mention that, protest music has that at its core, that idea of liberation, liberation from oppressive structures and systems, and defense of the marginalized and the voices that are less heard. And it just occurred to me as I was singing "We All Are Related" when I got to that last verse and said, we need liberation from seeing ourselves as dead matter machines, etc. That in a way that even though this is what I'm doing is theological musicking, it also has that, I think, that protest element of trying to liberate people from oppressive theological structures that have been unfortunately controlling the way they see themselves and the world and God all wrapped up. So anyway, just wanted to mention that.
We lost Walter Brueggemann this past year, but he's so well known for his prophetic imagination, that book, in which he proposes that the prophetic movement has two modes. Denunciation, here's what's wrong, here's the problem, and annunciation, here's a hope to live by, here's a new possibility. And I'm curious, but I don't want to stay here because I really want to open it up.
Yeah, sure.
Whether there's I think that your song, I heard your second song is Annunciation, actually. Here's a way things can be and are at some deep level. I hear other songs as denunciation, maybe blowing in the wind, but I'm imagining it can combine them. I'm imagining those two are woven together. Let's open it up for a moment.
Can I make one quick
yeah,
comment on my own for the group, maybe? Since I've been singing each of these, like a lot of us, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times in groups and individual, as I've grown older from that early 60s, I find that the speed, the enunciation has changed as my experience in the world has changed. And as I've grown in my understandings, and that's I think part of the real power of these is it speaks to us at different points in our lives.
Interesting.
With different power. And I've been surprised in some of my concerts I've done individually of what all of a sudden comes out. Either I prolong that particular verse or word or whatever, how it's changed and matured with me as I've matured and experienced life. That's powerful. These three are so powerful in that area for me.
Yes. Doug, what you have in mind?
I've got a couple things. I loved your song God-Soaked World. I don't think we've met before, so good to meet you, Ms. Kling. Dr. Kling, I presume. I come to process thought from a less religious background, certainly my upbringing, but I have had several spiritual experiences over the last 15 years since losing my house, and several chapters to that, which have very strongly created a faith in me of a sort. And I like that song very much. It communicates the idea of panentheism just so simply and so powerfully. It was excellent. And then just personally, I'd like to share an experience. There's a lot more to this, but I have been recovering from a period of being very unwell, and started dancing for this spring for the first time. Also imbued with the spirit of some other people. And it was catching an emotional connection to the music that I haven't before. And I'm feeling a connection to that rhythm that's in the music to my health. My body is starting to come alive. I can feel the rhythms within my body. And one particularly powerful experience with a violin player whom I'm acquainted, who was playing the violin, aware of some drama that I have been in through this summer. And I could connect with her emotional playing of the violin and how that music was produced both my body and to dancing, or my health and to movement through dancing. So
thanks,
thank
Doug.
you very much.
Thank you so much. Neil.
I suspect I'm one of the younger members of our group. And what struck me in all of this is how so much of the folk song, which most of it started as protest, found its way into the summer camps of youth. And so it has become a combination of historical link to what people have gone through in the past, where we are in the moment of when we were in the camps. I mean, good camps, not like isolation camps of the Japanese, but then moving us ahead so that I'm no longer as involved in the summer camp movement as I was, but each era of summer camp, they come up with their own new music that has its roots where we have begun, and yet the history gives it almost an empowerment to move into the future, given the new circumstances in which we find ourselves.
Thank you, Neil. I think the continuity and the transformation over time is crucial, and you lift that up and point that out. Thank you. Anybody else have a comment or a thought you'd like to share? Tandeka. And then Pat.
Thank you so very much for this extraordinary program. It's very moving. And as a child of the 60s, it brings back so very many memories in a wonderful way. I have a question for you, Jay, and it's a request. You said that music feels like a web of felt relationships and energy in a bodily way. A web of felt relationships and energy in a bodily way. Would you say more about that, please?
I'll start in a kind of funny way, Tandeka. I'll start with popular music in America. So much popular music in America is inherited from Africa, and in the African traditions, as I understand them, there really was no sharp distinction between hearing music and dancing to music. The difference between listening to music and moving your body was not there. And that's in sharp contrast, say, to a classic concert hall of classical music, where everybody sits motionless and hears the performer, but doesn't move. You're forbidden to move in a way that you're not supposed to move. That's very foreign to the African traditions from which we inherit so much of our music. And nonetheless, I find in the work that I do that the body is tremendously important. People where I am, they need to tap their feet. They need to clap their hands. They need to move, and you move with the music, which speaks to the importance of rhythm. And, rhythm is really part of the cosmos. It's certainly part of our own bodies. Our heartbeats are rhythmic. So, and to sing, it involves your body, of course. You move your mouth, you move your lips. I think you really can't separate bodily experience from musical experience, even if you try, even if you think you can. So and it is an energy, Tandeka. Whitehead speaks of experiences as transferring energy one to another. He calls it a vector transmission of energy. That's his term. And it's experienced through, here's another technical term, experience in the mode of causal efficacy. That's a fancy way of saying you feel the energy of others and it affects you. Causally. It's not simply a mental interpretation. It's causal. Well, I think music does that. And one last thing, I'm curious today of where, this is shifting gears, but I just want to bring it up for everybody, where music forms a kind of experience of transcendence, almost a mystical experience, quite apart from questions of belief. Quite apart from questions of belief. If many people today don't have their moments of experiencing something transcendent through music, independently of theological and philosophical convictions, it's a kind of public mysticism
Yep.
for a secular society.
Yep.
Seems to me.
Yeah.
Pat. Oh, Tandeka, did that answer anything or raise more questions? Sorry.
Yeah, just a brief question. I loved what you said. I totally loved it. With regard to West European music,
Yes.
actually, we're talking not about folk music, traditional music,
Right.
but the breakdown of the bicameral mind.
Mm-hmm.
And in this way, the way in which we began to lose the ability to move back and forth between the right and left hemispheres of the brain.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes,
that's what came to mind as you described that.
right. Well, I just believe that's the case, Tandeka. It's profoundly holistic.
Yes. Thank
Pat.
you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Probably as soon as I say whatever I say, I'll end up having to exit stage right because this will probably wake up the baby. And when she hears my voice and wakes up, I don't know how much I'll be around for the rest of the conversation. So I guess I wanted to say this enough to take that risk. I profoundly think, Jay, that what you're saying is true. I mean, grippingly true. And I think I have to admit that back in the days when these songs were being created, I was probably in a narrow enough ideological place that I didn't always feel the burden of the war, for example. That people were actually dying, for example. I didn't feel that way. Now, having a couple of my closest friends in the world, Hispanics, I am feeling with great intensity that people could be snatched off the street. I'm feeling the absolute horror of where we are in a way that can only happen through stories. It can't happen through just a news article that is somehow abstract. And I really am feeling that stories and music may be the right response now. I'm wondering if you see our churches shrinking and becoming less and less connected to the outside world. I really wonder if we should just abandon the wall and go out on the street and sing. I really wonder if that's what ought to be happening at protest, where it's more than just a sign which talks about an ideological point of view, but can we resonate with, and I know you're into this, Jay, resonating with the people at the club that you go where 85% of the people have a different political ideology. So I'm really wondering how we make the response so attractive that people have to resonate with us. And I don't think it's within closed doors. I think we have to not hide the light under a bushel. I think about, I'm taking some interesting stuff from Friends journals right now, the wonderful perspective of the Quaker Friends, and yet they're shrinking, diminishing. And when I hear some of the atrocities that are being committed, I know people are committing those atrocities out of pain and not feeling seen and heard. And I'm wondering if Friends ought to go Friends for all, and we find a way that everybody, whether or not they can afford a therapist, could have someone they can talk to and be seen and heard. I'm really wanting to figure out how to break through the walls that are us, and that's what I have to say.
Pat, there's a field called social therapeutics, and it takes the arts as a means through which social transformation in local settings help have a transformative effect. And I'm personally curious as to, I want to add my kindergarten teacher to this. I want to say food, music, and storytelling.
Yes, having been a kindergarten
not music
teacher, I'll go
alone.
into that. That's right.
The Holy Trinity,
Yeah.
food, music, and storytelling. But both of those all of those touch people at a level that's very deep. And with regard to music, I just want to put in a note for the music of annunciation as well as the music of denunciation. And so, for example, the power of John Lennon's Imagine, really around the world. And people hear that, and it brings forth a hope that they almost dare not have, but it does it. And so the music of announcing a hope and revealing a fresh possibility, as well as the music of pain and anger, we need them both, it seems to me. Sheri, you have a thought, or Dan, or Dennis? No thoughts?
Well, what occurred to me just now, Jay, is that in your kindergarten, people just got it right for the Homeric performance. These were done at meals, and they had music, and they told a story.
Oh, wow.
So Homer had all of your your kindergarten teacher's wisdom right there.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that. If there are no more questions, I'll ask a couple, but if anybody's got a comment, you put it up there. Nita?
Yeah, I was kind of curious, Jay, how animals respond to music. I know you're an animal lover, as am I. And I was wondering, do the harmony of harmonies with animals, can you speak to that, or any of you a little more fully? Because I think there's an energy there.
There's a dog right 2 feet from me.
Does he sing with you?
He sleeps through every song I sing.
Maybe you need to change your music.
He has no interest in Elvis Presley, no interest in the Beatles. I've tried Kumbaya. I thought maybe that would work. He is musically disinterested, but he's not sonically disinterested. And so if I howl or I bark, which is a kind of music, he's all in. So you got to know the language. You got to know the music of the animals.
Right.
I have to throw in here, I've been watching these videos that come up on my Facebook feed with this woman. She's a beautiful singer and she plays guitar. I forget her name or the channel name, but she's got this little chihuahua. And anytime she starts to sing, the dog is like, the dog goes nuts. And she has the dog trained in some way. Like she'll say, only on the chorus. You'll only come in on the chorus. And then when she starts singing, if the dog comes in early, she'll be like, no. And the dog stops. And then when she gets to the chorus, It's unbelievable. It's very
So,
funny.
so Anita, I think we have our answer now. Some dogs have an ear for music and some don't. Some don't.
Thank you.
Neil.
I was just going to add to that that my very first guide dog, Black Lab, when I was practicing my violin, he would come and want to sing with me. Unfortunately, I have been playing my violin as much as I wish I still were. But I do play around on guitar. I have recorders. And anytime I start playing one of these other instruments, my current guide dog comes and is right at my feet. He's not as vocal as my first guide dog, but certainly just as attracted to, because I have music playing in my house practically all the time. And yes, I'll admit it's quote classical, but whenever I am trying to sing or making music of my own doing, all of my guide dogs have been right there with me, as was our cat before that. So there is some kind of connection with all the animals I've had.
I tell you, there sure is a connection in where I work. Maybe some of you, do you remember Summertime when I sang Summertime? Did you see the therapy dog moving around? That's a therapy dog. And by the way, he steals the show. I mean, you know, when you're really doing it, you know where all the eyes are. They're right there. And it's inherently calming and pleasing. And then to touch, to be able to pet the dog, to introduce the element of touch. So I'm shifting food, music, storytelling, and dogs.
Yeah.
The holy quaternity.
I'm also, I was going to say, Richard posted the man who sings to cows and horses to make them feel better. I've seen a lot of videos lately too of people who are playing an instrument in a field and domesticated livestock like that will all come around and gather. But also I've seen a guy that plays, I think it's banjo or guitar and then sometimes banjo, and a wild fox will come in close to him in the yard and listen. He said it runs away when he plays the banjo, but he does come when he plays the guitar.
Well, Sheri, everybody runs away.
Sorry, Dennis. I love banjo myself.
There is something called earth jazz. I think let me give you the phrase, earth jazz. And Paul Winter, who's a musician at St. John of the Divine Cathedral at the time, went to the Sierra Nevada mountains and played his tenor saxophone in Charlie Parker style to see if the wolves would howl back. And they did. So so you can get this musically. So there's two performers in his music. They're the wolves, and there's the tenor. There's Paul with a tenor sax. He did the same with whales, and maybe other animals as well. So combining the sounds is a genre in its own right. Earth jazz.
There's a series of I've got about 4 music CDs, and I think they're unavailable now because I've looked for them. I know there are more, and I can't find them anymore. National Park. Some of the different national parks had a music CD, and they would record sounds of the park, the wildlife, or water, or rain, or thunderstorms, and then they would add music to it. You know, that was either from the region. Like the ones I have are like the Blue Ridge Parkway and the Great Smoky Mountains, but I also have one I think from Volcano National Park and one from the one in Joshua Tree. Anyway, they're really they're so relaxing and so beautiful. That mixture of the natural world with
interesting,
music is gorgeous.
I hate
Doug,
to interrupt this. Jay, I hate to interrupt this because y'all are just going so strong. And the conversation is so interesting, but we're almost out of time. And Doug, I have to apologize. We're not going to have time to call on you again, but I want to say some words of thanks first, and then I want the three of you to have a chance to say any last word you want to say. First of all of the people who appeared on video today gave us permission, and they were generous in that. I also want to say that to repeat that Richard Livingston worked very hard on this program in order for it to move smoothly, and Lou Fry worked also alongside Richard. So we owe a huge thanks for them for the behind the scenes work. And I want to say thank you to Sheri and Jay for planning so well. Your creativity was marked in what you planned for today. And Dennis, thank you for bringing the kind of wisdom you brought from the Homeric traditions. It's always fascinating, and it was an important element of the discussion today. I just want to say thank you to all of you. You were remarkable. And thanks to all of you who participated. The comments in the chat were fascinating as well. You were kind of entering in a call and response way. And now, last words. Dennis, and then Sheri, and then Jay. Do you have last words?
Only to keep a question open. That the transcendence that music can provide doesn't need to be related to a notion of God. That in fact, the creation of music itself is a transcendent experience. And I'm speaking of it not as a consumer of music, but as a player of music. And we didn't talk about the difference between what it means to be a performer and what it means to be, in the audience singing or listening. But I think the creation of music, for me, is a soul-inspiring event. And I do feel occasionally the muse. And I don't know what to call the muse myself. But I think that's one of the great gifts of music, is a kind of a self-transcendence, especially when it's in a group.
Thank you.
I guess I'm next. I just wanted to say, I'll say something that I said to a couple of groups of high school students years ago when I did some arts and education programs, which was, don't just consume other people's art, but find a way to add your own voice to the creative world. It doesn't have to be art in that high sense, but find a way to make music, to sing, to add your voice, to create, to draw, to color. Just find a way to add your voice to the creative world, because it's so enriching. I don't think any life is complete without some kind of participation in creativity. And every one of us has some way we can do that, I believe. So I just would encourage everyone to look for those opportunities.
I'll end with a line from Bob Dylan that's been floating in my mind. And it's from Hey, Mr. Tambourine Man. And I think it's about the third verse. And it's just a beautiful image. And it goes like this. Oh, to dance beneath the diamond sky, with one hand waving free, silhouetted by the sea, circled by the circus sands, with all memory and fate, driven deep beneath the waves. Let me forget about today until tomorrow. Now, I have no idea what it means, but I think it's kind of beautiful.
What a great closing. Thank you. Thank you. You folks are terrific. And
Thank you, Mary Elizabeth.
Thank you, Mary Elizabeth. You made this happen. You make everything happen.
We all do. It's all teamwork. So you have a great break. Enjoy yourselves, and we'll see you back on September 9.